Today on the BRS 160, we're going to get water flowing in this tank. Hi guys, my name is Ryan. Welcome to another week of the BRS 160, where every week we do our best to help you guys, members of the reefing community, enjoy your tanks and find new ways to explore the hobby. We do that by following the setup and progression of this 160-gallon reef tank. Today we'll talk about why proper flow is important, give a solid overview of most of the pump options out there, including AC powerheads, wave makers, DC powerheads, gyres, and external closed loops. We'll hit on all the features of the most popular brands, proper ongoing maintenance for your pumps, and finish with the flow solution we selected for the BRS 160. Water flow is one of the more important elements of a reef tank. Water movement promotes gas exchange, which increases oxygen, decreases carbon dioxide, and helps maintain the pH of the tank. Proper water flow also plays an important role in biological function within the coral. Good flow will keep the coral's tissue surrounded with oxygen-rich water and important elements like calcium and alkalinity, which promotes proper respiration and calcification. Water flow also serves as the mechanism which corals use to pump and circulate fluids, nutrients, important elements, and waste within the coral by constantly pushing on the coral's soft tissue with irregular patterns. Strong flow is also believed to be closely related to preventing coral bleaching by helping the coral rid itself of toxic oxygen radicals, which can be produced with long, intense lighting periods like those found in many reef aquariums. So what is good flow? It really depends on the tank and what's in it, but often anywhere between 20 and 50 times the tank volume an hour. So in a 100-gallon tank, it'd be between 2 and 5,000 gallons an hour. Some reefers will even go higher than that. As long as the corals tolerate the flow and thrive, I don't think you can really have too much. The general rule of thumb is softy tanks like lower flow. LPS and mixed tanks do well with medium flow as long as the corals are placed in friendly locations, and SPS tanks do best in high flow tanks. These days, flow is almost always provided with a powerhead of some type, which is just a small efficient pump that uses an impeller or propeller to shoot high velocity water out the front. This type of pump is generally really easy to install and consumes very little power for the amount of flow it creates. The most popular are AC type powerheads. AC means they operate on the typical alternating current in your home, and they run at a single speed. For instance, this Tunze 6065 is rated at 1,700 gallons an hour, and it's going to operate at that single speed all the time. These AC powerheads are the most popular simply because they're the most affordable. There are three major brands which all have different advantages. Tunze is the originator of the prop style powerhead and the first company to bring this type of technology to the aquarium. Tunze's biggest advantage over others is a refined quality, adjustability, and small form factor. The nanostreams in particular provide up to 1,700 gallons an hour in this tiny form factor, which can be aimed in literally any direction. The magnetically mounted swivel ball and small form factor is one of the reasons why Tunze is so popular with reefers all over the world and one of my personal favorites. Tunze also sells these rocks you can use to hide the pump in, which is an interesting accessory. Behind that, Roger at Tunze USA is somebody I personally trust, and he takes care of his customers. So if you ever have a problem with the Tunze product, he'll take care of you. Hydro also makes excellent powerheads. One of the biggest differences here is the mount, which uses a suction cup magnet hybrid mount, which provides a very secure, low-profile mounting option. The Hydro Evolution is a bit larger than some of the other options, and the swivel ball mount doesn't have as big of a range, but it does have one sizable advantage over the rest. They come at the lowest price point, which will make them pretty attractive to quite a few reefers. Hydro just released the new Generation 3 powerheads, which aren't designed to replace the current line, but for a few more bucks provide a more advanced version with additional adjustability and efficiencies. They have an interesting new cup-shaped magnet mount which reduces the overall size of the pump as well as increases the range of angles the pump can be positioned. What's really cool is the pumps come with 3 different caps which create a couple different flow patterns and keeps livestock out of the pumps even when they're off, which is important. On top of that, they're power efficient. The Corellia 9000 pushes as much as 2,400 gallons an hour for less than 10 watts. The Corellia 5000 pushes 1,300 gallons for just over 5 watts, both of which is pretty impressive. CJ has some really interesting options which serve completely different ends of the market. The Voyager line has a disadvantage of being the largest form factor of most powerheads out there, but they're hands down the best powerhead on the market for use on wave makers, which I'll explain a bit more thoroughly in just a minute. On the other end, Seachay has the new Extreme pumps, which are absolutely tiny and go up to 2,100 gallons an hour. The Extremes are going to be attractive to a lot of reefers looking for the smallest, least obtrusive pump possible. Most of us don't want to see any equipment in the tank because no matter how you cut it, cords and pumps are not attractive components of the reef tank. However, this tiny form factor does have a bit of a price premium, so don't be surprised when you have to pay more for this type of thing. As to positioning the pumps, this will depend a lot on your tank size and aquascape, but the most common placement for AC powerheads like all of these is one on each end of the tank and a couple often smaller, slower flow options on the back. The thing about AC powerheads is they flow at a single speed 24 hours a day in the exact same way every day, which can create some fairly stagnant flow patterns, so it's important to try to make sure the pumps are aimed in a way that creates some amount of turbulence and variances in the flow pattern. The biggest reason corals just don't do well when they're blasted in the exact same way all day, every day, is strong stagnant flow can damage tissue, impact how the coral circulates fluids within the tissue, and result in some fairly unnatural growth patterns. So without somewhat varied flow, coral placement and long-term growth patterns become bigger issues. To help solve that, many reefers will implement what's commonly referred to as a wave maker, which turns the pumps on and off to create different flow patterns. For example, the Wave Surfer from Seachay and the Hydro Smart Wave will turn the pumps on and off to create different flow patterns in the tank. Almost every aquarium controller like the Neptune Apex or Reef Keeper will also have a built-in wave maker or pump oscillation programming to help vary the flow. Because an inexpensive controller can cost just a bit more than a standalone wave maker, I'd say controllers are a more popular option. In addition to all that, you can use a simple digital timer as well. For instance, I could use a timer to set the right pump to be on for 4 hours, left for 4 hours, and then both for 4 hours, and then just let that cycle through the entire day. You can also leave the main left and right power heads on all the time, and just oscillate the back pumps back and forth to create some turbulence and new flow patterns. There are a few things you should consider with wave makers. The first is how they significantly reduce overall flow. If I have two 2,000 gallon an hour pumps on the tank, it has 4,000 gallons an hour of flow. However, if I use a wave maker which oscillates between turning one pump on and the other off, I only have one pump running at a time. The tank has half the flow at 2,000 gallons an hour rather than 4. That doesn't mean you need twice the strength of pumps if you use a wave maker, but you will want to factor that into the equation. You might want slightly higher flow rate pumps, but more commonly you might want to get additional pumps like those on the back of the tank if you're running a wave maker. You should also consider flow patterns and the length of the on-off cycles. Some reefers will run very short pulses, but more common is longer surges from minutes to hours, which have enough time to create actual flow patterns in the tank, which is more likely to keep significant water movement in hard-to-reach areas behind the rockwork or even within the rock structure. Lastly, you should be aware that the on-off cycles are hard on the pump. AC-powered pumps by nature will start the prop in either direction. We need the prop to spin in a particular direction to create forward flow. Most of the AC powerheads have some type of mechanical stopper or clutch which prevents the prop from spinning backward. While it does work, anything mechanical like this does wear out over time, so you can be absolutely certain running your AC pumps on a wave maker will shorten its usable life to some degree. How much is mostly how many times a day the pump turns on and off and the resulting wear on the mechanical components. For instance, if you set the on-off cycles to 10 seconds, that's over 8,000 times a day or 3 million times a year the pump turns on and off. It should be fairly obvious how hard that's going to be on your pump. If you reduce the cycles to every hour, that's only 24 times a day and less than 9,000 times a year, and it will last a lot longer. This is where those Seachay Voyager pumps come in. They're fairly big and at face value might not be your first choice, but they're designed specifically to operate long-term on wave makers in 2 different ways. The Voyager 2, 3, and 4 all use a unique design which uses an impeller rather than a propeller. The impeller can turn on in either direction and still function properly, so it doesn't need that mechanical stopper or clutch to reverse the direction. Net result is this is the ideal pump to run on a wave maker because there are fewer components to wear out, especially if you want to run very short pulses with hundreds of thousands to millions of on-off cycles a year. The larger high-flow Voyagers are a bit different. They do use a propeller, but rather than rely on a mechanical function, they utilize an electrical design which forces the pump to start in the right direction. Again, without the mechanical wear, these will last a lot longer on wave makers. This is where DC or direct current pumps come in. DC pumps are not only capable of always starting in the correct direction every time, but they can also slowly and evenly ramp up from 0 gallons to thousands of gallons an hour. This also opens the pump up to some really unique designs. I'll start with the Tunze DC controllable pumps. Like most DC pumps, they have the ability to run at a wide range of speeds and vary the flow rates. I think the biggest advantages are flexible placement options, low profile, they run super quiet, and adjustability. The head can be aimed in basically any direction, so it's pretty common to see these installed in the back of the tank, which makes hiding cords easier and keeps ugly pumps off the sides of your tank. We set up this demo to show you, even with the pumps installed near the back of the tank where you can hide all the cords nicely, the flow created is substantial and covers the entire tank. This is just a great low profile clean installation. All Tunze controllable DC pumps now come with a controller which allows you to adjust the flow rate from 0 to the maximum of the pump's range, adjust the length of the cycles as well as the strength of the alternating cycles. The pumps can be linked together so they can operate in unison, sync together, or opposite cycles of each other to help create a wave effect or other flow patterns. If you want to go beyond that, they have more advanced controllers you can pick up which allow for more flexibility if you require it. You can also hook it up to the variable voltage ports on popular controllers like the Apex to get some serious control over the pump and leverage the power of owning a full aquarium controller. What's really cool is the safety connector, which is the battery backup for the Tunze controllable pumps, which automatically turns your pumps on during a power outage. Other brands out there have battery backup options, but what makes the Tunze option unique is you can get your own battery of any size you feel is appropriate for your tank, which means you can get a lot more backup runtime and can even pick up some additional batteries if you need them during a prolonged outage. You can even do some clever things like hook it up to a solar panel. One of the most popular DC pumps is the Vortech from Ecotech. This one's unique because of its magnetically coupled design where the motor's on the outside of the tank and the pump head is on the inside, which to be frank is just cool, but there's some advantages to this design like keeping the pump motor and the heat generated out of the tank. The Vortex are typically placed with one pump on each end of the tank. While they do require a cord to control and power the pump, they communicate wirelessly with other pumps on the tank, so you don't need a cord connecting them, which is nice. If you pick up the Reef link, you can even control them wirelessly over your phone. Where Ecotech really excels is their programming and ease of use either on your phone or their control module. You can do all types of preset programming including reef crest mode that simulates a high energy reef environment, long pulses which can create a type of gyre, short pulses for standing waves, tidal swell, and nutrient transport modes. You can see in the constant on mode there's a lot of turbulence and a ton of flow in the tank, but settings like reef crest create that important varied flow we're talking about, and a lot of people like the wave effect, which creates a lot of movement in the water but in a very different fashion. Ecotech also provides a battery backup option which can power up to 2 pumps during a power outage for anywhere from 10 to 72 hours depending on the size and quantity of pumps. A more recent entry to the powerhead world is a Gyre from CoralView and MaxSpec. I have to say I really like this pump a lot. What makes it unique is it creates a circular type of flow pattern in the tank where a thin sheet of water is sent across the top of the tank where it curves back down the other side and returns across the bottom to create that continual gyre. The Gyre has programming which allows you to create pulses as well as run in reverse to vary the flow pattern up a bit. I will say the reverse is a significantly different flow pattern, which you can see here. It doesn't cross the tank in the same way, but it does vary things up a bit. There's also a new module out that allows you to hook it up to the variable voltage connector on controllers like your Apex, as well as a brand new battery backup option for the Gyre to keep it running during those power outages. Personally, I think alternating gyres with one gyre on each side of the tank alternating back and forth periodically is one of the coolest things you can install on a tank. It was a bit tough to set it up that way before, but with a new module which allows you to hook it up to aquarium controllers, it's pretty easy. This is just a really cool pump that changes the dynamics of how we create flow in the tank. The newest entry to the DC pump world is a new wave from Neptune. You need to own a Neptune controller like the Apex to run these pumps, but if you own an Apex, this is probably one of the more affordable options in this flow range, which is up to 4,000 gallons an hour. Similar to some of the other pumps out there, they're designed to be installed on the sides of the tank, opposing each other, and the Apex software provides all kinds of programming options. What makes it kind of cool is you can use the Apex software to use different programs at different times of the day at different intensities. The flexibility is really pretty impressive. Even though they are designed to be installed on the side of the tank, they know you might not want to do that for various reasons, so they have increased the flexibility of the pump by allowing you to swivel the pump on the bracket. Between that and physically turning the pump, there's around 40 degrees of motion in any direction. Because the pump runs on the Apex system, you can control the pumps on your phone via Fusion as well. A couple other cool features of the Wave are the auto power down. If it falls off the side of the glass or is taken out of the water, it should automatically sense this and turn off, which is something I've never seen on a pump like this. The Wave also utilizes a single cord for both power and control, which goes to their control module, which can run up to 3 pumps off a single AC power cord to free up outlets. I've also heard rumors that the pump's one-link module also has some really cool features, like a battery backup solution in the not too distant future. One other quick option I'll mention is the new Controllable Xtreme from Syce. They only offer one Controllable Xtreme pump currently, but it's in this fantastic ultra small form factor. It comes with its own control box as well as the ability to hook it up to aquarium controller's variable voltage ports. Hands down, this is by far the smallest option of everything we've talked about today. So if you're looking for the lowest profile option out there, there's nothing even close to this, and it's an easy decision. Outside of powerheads, there's another option for flow with closed loops. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on them because they're not as common these days because high flow powerheads become so inexpensive and small. More or less, a closed loop consists of drilling some extra holes in the tank to create flow outlets and then using a large pump to recirculate the water in the tank. The most common pump for this type of thing is something large, capable of handling thousands of gallons an hour, like a Reef Flow external. Biggest advantage of closed loops is you can hide all the pumps and cords, so it might be a worthwhile option if you're looking for the cleanest install. Regardless of the pump you select from any of the options you've seen today, you absolutely need to maintain the pumps and clean them periodically if you want them to last. They're going to get covered in coralline and other forms of algae, as well as possibly get other forms of tank debris stuck in them. If you don't clean them, it's going to reduce the useful life and you'll have to replace them. I find this to be particularly true of the wet sides on the Vortex. They'll last a lot longer if you maintain and clean them properly. Cleaning them generally means soaking them in some type of acidic solution like vinegar, which will help dissolve the coralline. Hydor sells some powder called Magic Clean, which is a little lighter on the pumps. Tunze also sells a container of citric acid for this purpose. Again, it's a bit lighter on the pumps than vinegar. They also sell a cleaning kit, which is full of all kinds of little brushes and tools to clean your pumps as well. It's not cheap, but if you don't want to spend the time hunting down all these individual items yourself, it's absolutely a time saver. Time to show you what we installed on the BRS 160 for flow. With all this cool technology available, it's pretty hard to make a decision. The easiest way is look at your desires for your particular tank. I want something that's going to provide true varied flow, which is going to contact the corals in many different ways throughout the day. I also wanted something I could position in different areas of the tank and aim them based on the particular aquascape we create, and I needed to have a battery backup of some type because this tank is left unattended every weekend. End of the day, 4 Tunze NanoStream 6095s achieved those goals for me. 4 pumps is going to create that multi-directional flow on a 6-foot tank that's just hard to achieve with only 2 pumps. With 2 pumps, the flow may change velocities, but it's often very linear. I also want the flexibility to position and aim the pumps individually based on my aquascape and coral growth over time. I strongly considered the new Syce Controllable Xtreme because of the ultra small size, but end of the day I couldn't because I need to leave this tank unattended every weekend and we need a battery backup option. The Tunze safety connector is really the ideal battery backup solution for my situation because I can pick my own battery size that fits my particular situation. With the safety connector, a 1 amp battery will run at 6095 around an hour and 15 minutes. For example, this $85 35 amp battery will run the pump about 44 hours, which is what I need to get me across a full weekend without power. I got this one at Batteries Plus, which is in almost every market. They can also help you with an inexpensive charger, and they almost always have a 10% off coupon, so give it a quick Google. It would have dropped this battery to just 76 bucks. One note on the Tunze 6095s, the magnet holders are designed for 1/2 inch glass, so we had to get the Tunze extension magnets for the 3/4 inch glass on this tank. Most of you will be dealing with 1/2 inch or less, but it's nice to know there's a solution out there for thicker glass like our tank. We selected the 6095s because of the highest flow pump Tunze makes in the smaller NanoStream form factor. After that, the size of the pump takes a jump up. The 6095 is controllable anywhere between 500 and 2,500 gallons per hour, meaning we could have up to 10,000 gallons an hour going on in this tank. It's very likely that we'll really have about half that at about 5,000 gallons an hour once we tune them down a bit and consider half the time each one will be running on the lower flow portion of the alternating cycles. So in the end, we'll probably average around a 30 times tank volume flow rate. One nice feature is the cords can be detached from the controller for easy routing. If you open the box, there's a removable clip, which is particularly nice if you're like us and didn't leave room for the cords between the wall and the tank. It's easy to get the cords through and you don't have to drain the tank or drill holes in the wall. I'm going to run 2 pumps on the sides linked together, hopefully near the back. I won't know the exact placement until we create the aquascape. The other 2 pumps will be mounted on the back closer to the middle and linked together as well, and probably set to a bit lower flow rate. That's it, the tank now has a flow solution installed and getting closer to adding fish and corals. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to cover all kinds of stuff related to sand, rock, and aquascaping, so don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to give the team here a quick thumbs up because it means a lot to us. See you next week with week 10 of the BRS 160.